It's time for the 1430 Connection on 1430 WNAV and 99.9 FM, spotlighting news, newsmakers, and important community issues. Now, with this week's edition of the 1430 Connection, here is WNAV news anchor Donna Cole.
Welcome to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. Today I'm talking with Chad Wilkerson. He's an Annapolis area photographer, videographer. We met during the Black Lives Matter protest. I have been so incredibly impressed with his work. Chad, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show, and I appreciate you. You know, we've had conversations off air about some of the work and just, you know, some of the things that we'll talk about today. So, yeah, thank you for having me.
The person that introduced us, who is also a photographer and filmmaker in Annapolis, Christian Smooth. You're friends with him because you went to school with him, yes?
Yes. We both went to Morgan. He graduated before me, but, you know, we had a couple classes, and we were in the same department as well. So, you know, we had quite a few same professors.
And you studied filmmaking, photography there?
Well, I studied screenwriting and animation, and so, like, cinematic production was my concentration. So writing is really where that's where my degree is in.
And what's your love?
It's crazy. I think that I'm just a life liver, and that's pretty much how I express myself via the art. You know, I like the camera. I love editing and creating the videos, but everything is just an artistic expression, and, you know, it just comes out, and that's the medium that I'm working in right now. So.
And tell me, where did you grow up?
Seven Oaks, like right across from Fort Meade base. And so that's where I guess we moved over there when I was like 5 years old. And from like 5 to 16, I spent my life there. But my grandmother actually lives at the bottom of the hill in the old 4th Ward. So that's pretty much why, you know, in some of these pieces of content that I put out, I talk about, you know, Clay Street. I talk about the old 4th Ward. I talk about, you know, just what was going on just in that area, because just as a kid, you know, going to my grandmother's house and spending summers and, you know, days when my mom had to go to work or whatever, that's where I was. So. And
you live in this area now?
Yes, I live right in Annapolis.
What was it like in the old 4th Ward when you were growing up?
That's the thing. Like, I was super young, so I couldn't tell you much. Like, you know, my older cousins, you know, they would take me up to, like, Old Court, like the basketball courts. It's not even there anymore. That's my recollection of just back in the day, is literally going outside, you know, being in the house most of the time, coming down the hill. She lives right there on Glenwood, so it's kind of like, you know, around the corner down the hill. That's pretty much it. I only have that small block, you know, riding around my grandparents and stuff. So. But
it's obviously played a part in who you are today and the stories you're telling, and I think, yeah?
Right. Yeah, I mean, because, you know, naturally, I mean, my grandmother, she's, we actually just celebrated her 90th birthday.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was January, so just her being, she's a long lifetime resident of Annapolis. She grew up in West Annapolis, and, you know, her husband also grew up right there in College Street Terrace. I just have the influences of, like, the old stories, and, you know, like, when we were at, I guess when they were renaming the People's Park, I forget exactly what the conversation was, but I remember it when they were talking about Cars Beach, Happy Brooks, like, all these stories, John Colbert, like, these are people that I'm connected to just off of family ties, but because I didn't necessarily grow up here during, you know, my teen years or kid years, I'm learning as I go as well.
So when was the first time you remember holding a camera?
Probably when I was like maybe 11. My dad, he plays the drums. He got his own band, all that stuff. So it was one of his shows, and it was just a live show. He gave me the camera, told me to take pictures for it. I had zero idea, you know, how well I did or anything like that.
But was it like a love at first sight moment where you literally found yourself looking through the lens and realizing this is it, or no?
No, not really. I actually had to, I guess, like, refine a passion for it, or I had to discover that I had a passion for it. It wasn't really like a, it took me a couple of years to actually find it also.
We'll be right back on the 1430 Connection. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. Today I have the pleasure of talking with Chad Wilkerson, Annapolis area photographer, videographer, writer. Chad, are you ultimately right now doing what you want to be doing? Are you working full-time in this field?
Yes and no. Pre-COVID, I was actually a video operator at C-SPAN, so I learned a lot just being on Capitol Hill and, just gaining knowledge through just being in these hearings and really, just learning what's going on in the world. But yeah, I can't say for sure that, that's my love or anything like that. It was super awesome, and I would, for sure let it go back. But, like I said in the beginning, I'm just a life liver. I'm creating content for what needs to be said, the dialogues. The world is finally starting to understand that these aren't stories that are made up, These are things that really go on.
We're having a moment of reckoning here in the United States on something that we have had these moments before, but the change didn't come. So what we're seeing right now with the Black Lives Matter protest, the very peaceful Black Lives Matter protests that we've had in this state in recent history, hopefully will finally, at this point in time, transform things to where we should have already transformed things, so that there's equality, so that there's so much change in the system that has been so plagued for so many years.
Yeah, I agree, and that's the part where, for, me being, I'm in a unique generation where I was born in 92, so I'm kind of in the middle where I'm seeing that there is, is progress, but it's still, a lot of stuff that needs to get,
so
changed.
Much stuff that needs to get changed. Yeah. To give you some history on how Chad and I really started talking, and I started hearing him and where he came from, is the Maryland State Archives became aware of my work photographing the Black Lives Matter protest. And they reached out to me and said, we'd like some of your photographs. And I said, okay, but I think you ought to know about these two friends that I have, Christian and Chad. And so we had a discussion with Maria Day, who's director of the special collections for the Maryland State Archives, the four of us. And Chad, you started talking about these Black Lives Matter protests and the start of the disruption.
My first experience for, say, for a protest would be, back in 2015 in Baltimore City with Freddie Gray. Now, I was living there. I lived right there off of McLean Boulevard, off East Northern Parkway, and I saw the city burn. They had the citywide lockdown. I saw that. I was actually cuffed in the lockdown, for curfews and all that, and it was a wild time. So, I actually never photographed any of those. I was just living. I was literally just, I was trying to survive. It actually gave me, it's post-traumatic stress. I'm extremely afraid of police, and it's, as crazy as it seems, any pullover, any slight, I go crazy, and it's something I can't even control. Like, I really don't like it, and, it's affected me in a very negative way psychologically. Just my experiences. In 2014, I was living, like I said, off McLean Boulevard, and the police actually, no knock, same thing how Breonna Taylor was killed. They bust through my apartment door. I had a 1-bedroom apartment. They bust through that, searched everything. To this day, I never got an explanation on exactly what the issue was. But it was just a lot of things that. And I don't want to get too, deep, sentimental, et cetera, so forth, but it's every time I see something online, because, you know, it's all on Twitter, it's all on Instagram, it's like I can actually take real life experiences and I can be like, wow, like, you know, I'm blessed that I'm able to, you know, even have this conversation with you, just because, you know, I've dealt with a lot of the things that's going on. So
those images come back to haunt you. So these are images that scared you and continue to do that because they were police coming through your door. You also lost a friend, did you not?
Yeah, and that was 2011. So, and, you know, his name is Keston Lewis. He was shot and killed by the police, and, you know, it's just trauma, and it's crazy that, you know, it's things that this is something that it shouldn't be normal, you know, because it's not normal. We shouldn't be dealing with these type things because, like you said, they come back, and they haunt people, and it's not just me, you know, it's a lot of people out here that haven't had their stories told.
What's interesting is, and this is something it's a point I keep revisiting, in media, in what we see, in these images and the words that we see, it's so important to have diverse photographers out there, diverse writers, right. Diversity in the writers out there, because what you see in your images that you're making, the photos, the films that you're making, the way you're framing it is completely different than what I see as a white woman.
Right, you know, perspective, and, you know, it's crazy because, and I'm still trying to digest and, you know, wrap my mind around it, but I went and I spoke to my dad recently, and he told me, he was like, yeah, like, you've always been eclectic. Now, I had to go look up what that even meant, and like I said, I'm still trying to digest that, but I just feel like, you know, it's diversity, perspective, like you said.
When I look at your videos, I see so much going on, but they're so dang powerful because the music you're choosing, where you choose to lay that music, at what moment you do, the words that the people are speaking, where you're putting those, and it's just, you really are incredibly gifted. It's so moving, it's so powerful what you've been doing.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
We're going to take another short break. We'll be right back on the 1430 Connection. Welcome back to the 1430 Connection. I'm Donna Cole. I'm talking today to Chad Wilkerson. He's an Annapolis area photographer and videographer, studied at Morgan State. He's been shooting a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests around the area. What have these meant to you?
You know, it's crazy. They really mean a lot. Like I said before off air, you know, I really appreciate you for including me in you know, the archives, you know, when they reached out, because I've been living a lot of these situations, and, you know, just how you know, Harold Lloyd, he's you know, he goes by the voice of the underrepresented, and, you know, that's kind of how I feel. I feel the same way. Like, I was always underrepresented, you know, still am, and, you know, I just want to continue to use what I'm able to use and use my tools and what's at my disposal to, you know, help illustrate what's really going on in the world. You know, I just want to push the importance of it, so.
I think it's hugely important that you do continue to do it, and I'm glad you do. I said also to you previously is that I cannot think of an honor that I've received in my life as great as having my photographs included in Maryland State Archives, so that right. People in 20 years, in 100 years can see this is our history. And I wanted to make sure that as a white woman that it's not just my photographs, because your photographs and videos are important. Christians are hugely important. And in Maryland, we do not have many African American photographers. We actually don't have many woman photographers either.
Right. So, and that's why, you know, me, yourself, Christian, you know, we're all important, like you said, because, you know, we're showing the history. I was thinking one day, like, man, like, you know, what do some of these, you know, people from like the 1930s, 1940s, like, you know, you see the pictures, but, you know, what do they sound like, or what do they move like, what do they walk like? So, yeah, I understand what you're talking about. I definitely do.
What do you want to do that you haven't done yet?
That's a good question. And like I said, just because I was born in '92, so I'm at a age where I can see that, there's a lot of room, for growth, and there's a lot of things that I could have done better. So, I just want to continue to push the narrative. I want to push the importance of generational wealth, tradition, and overall, progressive action through the pieces of content. And that's what my brand stands for. So, every video I have is figures, and whether it's sports, the protest, the political content, anything like that, it's all behind figures. And what figures was and what it is, I was never a role model. And I feel like I've been anointed, or I've been kind of, people look to me, to kind of give them, some type of, guidance, insight, whatever that may be. But, at the end of the day, I just been, kind of living my life. I've been going through it and just taking my experiences and allowing people to, just get a feeling of what my journey has been like. I probably do want to go through, some leadership classes, do some stuff like that, just to, just help mold my approach a little bit.
And maybe those younger than you, maybe teaching in the future?
Yeah, I'm actually working with a, Jeff Huntington.
Yeah,
I've been working with him, talking some things out. Him and D, we might, well, I can't even say we might. We are putting together a videography program, and it's kind of. I'll be a teaching artist, so I'm kind of, you would have to talk to them about more the details of how it works.
I just think that's awesome, because what you have, what you're doing in your work, it should be taught to those younger than you, so they get it. Because again, your work is just amazing. By the way, where can people see your work?
You could go on Instagram. My Instagram is CChadEezy. That's SICHADEEZY. Also on YouTube, I have it. It's called Shoot Like Del Curry. That's my, that's my email, but that's also my profile on YouTube. You can't change it because of Google, but that's what it is. So
we have to live with our younger selves sometimes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, Chad, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to join me today. I really appreciate it, and you, and for all that you do.
Yeah, I appreciate you, for reaching out. And, I just want to give them one last, this is my mission statement. Like I said, it's the brand figures. And, I just want to continue to push, progressive action. So the mission statement is to impel quality standards and to fortify community unity. And, that's pretty much how we met, just by, community unity. And, we're fighting for the same things.
I think those three words, fortify community unity, is an amazing thing, amazing thought. So good on you.
Yes, I appreciate that. So thank you so much. I appreciate everybody for listening also, so that'll be cool.
This is Donna Cole on the 1430 Connection. We will see you next week.